In this video, I'm going to teach you what EFT is, its origins, and how to use it in order to have the best possible results. What is EFT? These three powerful letter acronyms means Emotional Freedom Technique. EFT is a technique of acupressure which uses basically 9 precise points on the face and the body to release every negative thoughts and feelings that might limit us in our everyday life. The EFT history is particularly interesting because even though this technique was established in the 90s, energy meridians on the human body were used more than 5,000 years ago. They represented, in fact, the major component of the Chinese medicine. The emotional freedom technique was invented by Gary Craig in order to develop an approachable tool accessible to all, thus a tool easy to learn and apply on ourselves. The EFT foundation is very simple. Every negative emotion is caused by a disruption in the body energy system. Imagine that your body is a TV playing the movie of your life. A romantic movie, a suspense movie, or maybe a drama or action movie. If the electricity circulates well, there won't be any problem. The sound and the image will be very clear. Now imagine that somebody arrives and removes the back of the TV case to insert a screwdriver. What's going to happen? A short circuit, of course, affecting the sound and the image. You may take a look at the TV menu, try to shake or play with the wires, nothing will work. The movie of your life will not play anymore in the same way. To solve the problem, we have to remove the screwdriver. This is when EFT is there to fix it. It will remove the screwdriver to eliminate the short circuit and restore the image and the sound so that you can continue watching your movie, play the actor of your own life without significant problem. It is in fact what differentiates EFT from other conventional techniques, which often focus on the memory of the stressful or traumatic event instead of concentrating on the disturbance of the energy system. Because without the disturbance in the energy system, the emotion or negative thoughts has no reason to appear. It is actually why two people can live the same event or live the same stress. One of them is going to develop limiting symptoms such as anxiety, insomnia, stuckness, chronic trouble, etc., while the other won't have any of these and will continue his or her life. In brief, when we concentrate on the event that causes us a certain emotional intensity, the one that affects us, while tapping on the acupressure points, you'll realize that while keeping the factual memory of the event, you can reduce and eliminate the emotional intensity attached to it. How does the techniques really work? Recent studies explain what goes on in the brain when applying EFT. When we feel and live stressful events, it is because at a certain level we feel threatened. When we feel this threat or this danger, a part of the brain named the Amygdala puts itself on an alert mode and the stress response kicks in. It is what we call the fight, flight, or freeze mode. Literally in a split second, the body reacts to this stress by increasing the heartbeat, by pumping on adrenaline. Our muscles tighten, our body puts itself on the automatic drive mode, ready to fight. It is important to understand that all this takes place at a subconscious level. The amygdala, situated in the limbic brain, also called the emotional brain, which is actually your friend, scans your environment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The emotional brain is known to be your emotional storage. Every little moment lived since you were born and the emotional response attached to it are stored in this part of the brain. So when new data enters, the amygdala compares them with the past experience and pulls out your old files in order to establish the most appropriate response to allow you to get through what you're going on. Sometimes, however, your best friend can become your worst enemy. In other words, even if the amygdala is extremely sensitive and can help you identify an appropriate stress response, there is no way it could know if what's perceived by your senses are real or imaginary, since it can only produce a response to a stimulus. To survive, as our ancestor, the cavemen, did, this kind of response towards stress and danger, just as when they used to go hunting and were suddenly attacked by a mammoth or another animal, was unconscious and immediate. They did not have time to think about it. They had to act instantly. Nowadays, everything takes place at a full speed. Our brain reacts exactly in the same way. Instead, that mammoths represent our jobs, relationship, traffic, money, kids, family, everything. And even if our life is not threatened by these elements, our brains think so. If the body believes itself besieged, there is no way it could determine if the danger is real or not. So since the amygdala can see the difference between a real danger and a perceived danger, your boss's voice announcing you some bad news, for example, your body can produce physical reaction as our ancestor running away from the mammoth. To return to EFT, by tapping the energetic meridian ending, a signal is sent to your body and the amygdala will then recognize that you're safe. The most interesting aspect is by doing this tapping while you think or speak about the particularly stressful event, this stress is eliminated and the response to it will therefore be reprogrammed. This is roughly how it works. Now you only have to try it for yourself. What is wonderful about this technique is it's easy to learn and to apply. EFT is your emotional first aid kit to use as a resource when you feel stressed or in pain. To see what the tapping points are, you can also watch the short video on the www.imagoenergy.com. You can also download a poster located at the Learn EFT tab. And you'll notice that in the poster there are more than 9 points. These 9 points represent the EFT basis, and we normally use these 9 points only. Become familiar with these points, memorize them, and then you could push the technique a little further. Let us begin by describing where the EFT points are. The first point is the karate chop. It is situated on the external part of the palm, right under the little finger. Then the second point is located at the very beginning of the eyebrow in the inside corner of the eye. Then it's the side of the eye. You have only to follow your eyebrow line until you arrive on the side of your eye. Make sure you stay on the bone part. The next point is situated under the eye. Just continue your way down the bone part that surrounds your eye until you're directly under it. Then the next one is between your nose and your upper lip. And the next point is the one named chin. Even though it is not exactly on it, it is located in the small area between the lower lip and the chin. And the next point is the collarbone. The easiest way to get to this point is to have your hand completely open and then to tap on your chest, on the spot where if you wore a tie, the nut would be. Then the next point is situated under the arm. For women, it corresponds to the center of your bra, right under your armpit. For men, you can measure approximately a width of a hand under your armpit. Then finally, the last point is on the top of your head. Now that you know where you can find these 9 points, I'll explain to you how to apply the technique. Begin by identifying a physical or emotional feeling or a problem. Estimate then the intensity of this feeling or problem on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the biggest intensity you can feel and 0 being completely neutral. If you use the technique on a physical problem, you could ask on a 0 to 10 scale, how much does it hurt? For an emotional issue, you can ask yourself how angry you feel from a 0 to 10 scale, for example. This number is very important because at the end of the tapping, you will reevaluate in order to see if it has changed. What frequently happens is that people get rid of their negative feelings quickly and don't get to remember how they felt before since they are disconnected from the old feeling. They do not even realize to what extent that change is significant and that they made real progress. Even if between every EFT rounds you decrease your intensity only by a single point, it is significant. By using the scale method on every round, you can see your negative feelings melting and possibly disappearing. Once you have identified the intensity level, you begin with the karate chop point on the side of your hand by saying what we call a setup statement. This statement goes as follows. Even though I have this problem, and then you fill this space with the problem you want to work on. For example, even though I have this headache, or even though I feel under stress because of the presentation I have to give, or even though I'm angry with my boss, I accept myself deeply and completely. There are several variations for this statement. Some people say, I love and accept myself completely, or I accept myself and I accept the way I feel right now. We give you different options since sometimes people can hesitate and not know if they should pronounce the statement. They think that it is weird to say and they don't really accept themselves as they are. They're afraid by accepting who they are, they will also accept the problematic situation they're going through and that nothing will change. But it is exactly the opposite that happens. It is our incapacity to accept who we are which prevents us from moving forward. You might have heard the comment saying, whatever you resist will persist. When we accept who we are, even with our problems, we realize that this problem does not control our life and cannot influence us. From there, the internal fight ends and we can move forward freely. The same happens in martial arts. For those who have practiced them or simply watched a fight, winning the fight against the opponent is not a question of being stronger physically or resisting him at all costs, but it's looking him straight in the eyes and to use his movement and his strength to knock him down and win the fight. The setup statements allows you to be honest with yourself. You recognize the problem and the fact that it is part of your life, therefore allowing the healing process to start. Now let's get back to tapping, shall we? You tap on the karate chop point and repeat your setup statement 3 times, and then you continue by tapping on all the other points, one after the other, without forgetting to say your problem. Let yourself go and accept your feelings. The most important aspect is that not to say a ton of words, but to express exactly what your feelings are and that you can get rid of their negativity. If you do not know what to say or have some difficulties, just imagine that you're with your best friend and that you're telling him or her about your problem. The idea is to give a voice and to what takes place in your head. When you're done with all the points, you have finished one EFT round. So take a big and deep breath and reevaluate the intensity of the problem from 0 to 10 as the number changed. It sometimes happens that the intensity increases. Do not panic. It's perfect. It means that you're working on a core issue. Often when we use EFT, we connect with deeper feelings. Thus, while we work on an on-surface event, we realize that we're actually working on a problem that is connected to some feelings that affects us more. For example, you could do an EFT round on the anger you feel about a coworker, and suddenly you notice that this person really disturbs you mainly because he reminds you of your ex-boyfriend or close relative's attitude. When you began the tapping, you simply connected with the other feeling. If this happens to you, it is important to trust these thoughts and to apply EFT to these other experiences. Once you've worked on them and solved them, you'll get to realize that the first problem is not a problem anymore. Very often, people are resistant to express negative things so that they do not attract negative things to them. A little bit like the law of attraction. The fact is that you already feel these negative feelings. Expressing them allows you to solve them and not to conceal them somewhere, to let them control unconsciously your life and to claim that they do not exist. It is as imagine that your mind is a wide harvest field. It would be impossible to plant new seeds without first preparing the ground, cleaning it and removing the weeds. Too many people want to plant on dry grounds and full of weeds. Clean first and then spread your seeds so that the harvest is good. As soon as something comes to surface while you do EFT, I encourage you to stop and to apply as many rounds as you need in order to feel better. Be as specific as possible and remind yourself that words are not the most important aspect, but letting your feelings out. Don't forget that we can stay in touch via the Facebook page Imago Energy or by visiting my website www.imagoenergy.com. And have fun tapping.